No. Hello. You guys can turn off your mics for a while and the cameras also. Let's keep this session as interactive as possible. Hi, Parag.
Hello, Shreyans.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes,
Oh, lovely. Okay. So let me get started with the presentation. Just wait for a couple of moments for some people to join. Okay. Good evening to everyone. I'm really grateful all of you guys took time to join the session today. So basically, we at Rat Labs have been in the field for last 10 years. We have been creating a lot of parametric work, and alongside we've been doing workshops in various fields like Grasshopper, Rhino, some environmental design, and all of it. And we've hosted more than 200 workshops till now, training over 4,000 people. So this was the workshop basically to kickstart the similar process with the upcoming winter school. So we start today is about rapid modeling. Rapid modeling is nothing but a lot of times I've seen the students when they are taught in college or uh, in the places, it's not really, not every student has the same pace of learning. So what happens is eventually some tools are missed, which are very essential later. And many a times, a lot of students have ego in the class to maybe ask their peers to show me this or show me that, how it works. Because I've seen a lot of students, even in the 10th semester, have difficulty using basic tools in SketchUp. And SketchUp is like a bread and butter to us architects because regardless of how many softwares we use, the basic modeling still remains in SketchUp for the rapid use of modeling. So today's session is all about how we can elevate the use of SketchUp, try to use the pros of SketchUp, which comes to extensions, and see how to uh, make a fast model. And there's certain things which will come ahead. Now about me being a student of architecture, I graduated 4 years ago from GIT Belgaum, and I've always been into things which deal with technology. For example, we have 3D printing, parametric designing, and all of these. I realize a lot of students who are not able to.
Hello, sorry to interrupt. Is there any audio going on because we can't hear?
Okay, am I audible now? Can somebody please respond in the chat box if I'm audible right now? Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I'll be using the SketchUp. I've turned on this application so you can see the basic shortcuts used in the bottom below. So more or less all the shortcuts which are the R or T remains the same for I believe SketchUp and Windows. The only thing that is different is where you see this logo is the Alt in your case. So let's start with the blank canvas. As you can see, I'll be opening up a file with some preloaded materials that we can use in the process. So all we have to do is normally start with installing the extensions. So I have handpicked a couple of extensions that we can cover during this course. I'll show you a few of them. So these are the extensions that we will be using. And we have a lot more extensions which we'll be covering in the later course. I'll give you the details later. Starting with the basic extensions, you go to the extension manager, use install extension, and then go to the folder and select the extensions. So remember, for particular extensions, always use the library first. For example, you have the libfredo library, and then you have the TT library. So these are one of the main creators of the extensions. One of the reason I'm installing this from the downloaded folder is because most of these extensions, the thing is how SketchUp works is they give you extensions via the website. And earlier, most of these extensions were free of charge. But over the time, as the extensions kept getting more and more common, for example, the MakeFace tool, which was the most used tool for all architects for modeling, the person who had created that extension has kept a prize money of 15 euros or 20 euros. So normally the older versions which are still available or the people who have the older versions are able to use it free. But sadly, if you were to use or download extensions today, there's no way you can download the older version. So at the end of the workshop, I'll be sharing all these extensions so you guys can use them. I believe Zoro is paid right now. Joint push pull is paid. Also, the Makeface is paid in the latest version of the software. So I'll be installing the library first. So I have libfredo 6, and then I'll do the same for the TT library. Once the libraries are installed, then I'll try to install the extensions directly. 1001 bit is, I believe, most of the people have used this across junior or higher semesters. Then we have joint push pull classic. This is again the older version which works free. And then you have Makeface. This is the older version. We have TT cleanup. Not many people may be aware of this, but I'll show you how it works. I have the edge tools. I have Zoro. Can anybody just type in the comment if anybody has used Zoro before for 3D modeling? For Saurav, if you don't know 3D modeling at all, then I suggest that we'll cannot take it slow because in 2 hours it's difficult to cover the modeling. But I'm sure there's a workshop assigned for you later in the coming weeks. But SketchUp is something that you need to know as well for extensions. We'll cover Rhino in a while, so maybe you can wait till we cover SketchUp meanwhile. Can anybody tell me if anybody has used Zoro? as a part of their work process? So I believe nobody has come across Zoro as an extension. I'll show you how useful that can get. So let's start with the plan. So normally, most of us architects design plans in AutoCAD. Some of us, very few, can even design it here directly on SketchUp, having a possibility to make 2D sections and plans or something like this. So we have a basic plan which can be used. This is without any scale. But the moment you have a 2D file from AutoCAD, one of the suggestion is we should remove as much of unwanted layers which are there. For example, trees or layers which can be heavy for SketchUp to run. So I've taken a bare minimum 2D plan, which is just the outline. So as you can see, we don't have doors or any additional furnitures and text and hatching in the plan. And I'll just take this here at the corner. So what I'm showing right now is one of the most optimal way I've seen as modeling in last 6 years of my experience of modeling. And I've not come across this way anywhere in YouTube. So uh, it's not something similarly done outside. And I'm sure somebody may have a better way of modeling or a better approach to do this. So basically, how I start is we take the model as it is, and then normally most of our models will have some edge issues. So normally when we try to make face, you can see not all the edges are made into faces. So what we can do is we select all of them. Then I can use a tool called as edge tools. So I'll add the edge tool where some of the polylines explode in SketchUp when you import to CAD plan. That happens because CAD and SketchUp are not designed mainly in the same platform. And in CAD, it's difficult to create group and hierarchies which are again usable on SketchUp. So the best ideal way is just to drag and drop all of them. So I'm going to add the two extensions that we just installed called as Edge Tools. For Windows users, you guys can just right click and then click on the toolbar for Edge Tools. So I'm going to find edges. So the moment I do that, I can see where all the naked edges are there. There's one here, there's one here. You could have multiple in your uh, plan. So I'm taking a smaller plan. This could be multiple flow plans in one. And then there's a command to directly fix the gaps. So let's say I'll give a tolerance of 6 inches, which I think is max in this case. And then, okay. So what it does is it automatically tries to fix all the stray edges. Sometimes it also creates extra edges, but we can clear them off later. So once we know this, we can select all of it, go back to extensions, go back to make face, and now we can see all the surfaces which were not making a surface, all the edges are making a surface now. So now we will take a copy of this for another use. So now take one more copy for a different purpose. So as you can see, every model starts with a plinth. So I'm going to take the reference. Let's think of this as the ground floor. This is my ground floor plan. So I'm going to make 3 copies of this. I'll explain why. So now with the ground floor, how we start is normally we start with the plinth. So I'll just make sure the entire thing is in a group and not outside the group. Once it's in a group, over the group, I'm just going to trace a basic plan plinth. This plinth can be multiple layers joined like this. Eventually, they can be clubbed together. So now once the plinth is done, I will just pull the thing to, let's say, 1/6 inch. And then this is a plinth file, plinth base. Now you have to imagine the floor in 3 segments. For example, if I have this, I will try to put it in 3 segments such that you have the level which is below the window, the level which is on the window, and the level which is above the window. So the level below the window, below the sill, as you say, is you don't have any windows. You don't have any lines. So we will just quickly fill all the lines wherever the windows come. So we have we have a window here, we have a window here. Let's say we have a window here. So technically you have to imagine cutting a section at 2 feet of the plan. So basically we get the entire plan which is there with only the door opening. So we have one door opening here, one door opening here, and one door opening here. Then later we should imagine a plan where we have all the openings, which is door and windows. So which is our existing plan, where we have the door and windows open at once. And then imagine a final layer where it is above the lintel. So what I'm going to do is I'll cover all the walls which normally are not required for us. So technically we cover as many. Don't worry about the stray edge, the extra lines. We can take care of them later. So I'll cover all the main wall lines which are there. Once you've done this, so I have 3 plans basically. I have one plan which is for the openings of door and windows, one for openings of door, and one with none of them open. I'm going to use the clean extension that we used with clean tool. It is going to give us some options. We'll use the basic options as it is. And just press and clean. So the moment you do that, you can see all the stray edges and stray lines which were there are gone. The same can be done for the other with the last settings. And we will do the same for this thing as well. So now what we do is we have to pull them to a particular height. So now let's start again with the base. In the base layer, if you were to pull this, so we have sill up till the 4 feet height. So I can just take 4 feet and then pull it off, do individually like this. So now what happens is here I had only 3 surfaces to pull, so it did not take me much time. But let's say you have at least 40, 50 walls at once, then it becomes really difficult to pull all the walls at once. So in that case, what you can do is you select all of them. There's this one more component called as joint push pull. So in the joint push pull, I'll select the n value, select all the surfaces and then pull them at once. Set the height we have to pull them what at, and set the distance and set enter. So one more benefit of this is it is going to pull them in the same surface as it is. So even let's say if it is one of them is inverted, still it is going to pull them to the normal direction. Just 1 minute. The laptop is not able to handle the screen sharing and the SketchUp at once. So I have two options at this stage. Either I quit the software or I wait for it. Anyone has suggestions in the group? I think let's just quickly restart this. Okay. Uh, so we're back in the software. Just be patient with me here. Uh, the main part is about to come later. So coming again, I'm going to just pull them to the height required. So we'll start with the base floor. I select all of them, go to extensions, make face, and then I pull them for the given height of, let's say, 4 feet. I've kept only the openings of the door here. Extensions, clean with the last settings. And then I select all of them, joint push pull to the height of 4 feet. And then I can reverse the faces to have them all front sided. So now I'm going to take the model from the windows, do the same for them. So this we can have it for, let's say, 4 feet again. Select all of them, reverse faces, and we have one layer. And then we have the top layer with the all the walls. So I'm going to pull all of them. So directly I can pull this for 2 feet. Now I can assemble the base to the top layer and then also assemble the wall layer on the top. So what we've done is we've optimized the entire process such that Now I'll have one layer with all the surfaces on. So basically we've covered all the openings, which is the door and the window. And I'll pull this for the height of 2 feet. Same with the supports. Once we've done this, you can see the entire structure has come up in the form. So now the entire process is such that this took me, let's say, 5 minutes to do this. But regardless of how big the house is, even if it is like multiple houses or multiple rooms, it is going to take the same time because inevitably we've taken the same process for the whole thing. Now, once we've done this, I can just stack them up, put them all on the plinth, and now we have a plinth layer ready with us. Similarly, we create the top floor. Let's say I just pull it again for 6 inch, create a group, maybe add some materials just for our understanding of what floor goes where. And it gives a better scope of adding the materials because as you can see, the materials are already in the right place for the layers to add. Maybe for the design elements, we can add some offsets around here. Once this is done, I'll take the plan, which is the top floor one. So I'll again import the top floor. Once I have the plan here, so I'm going to quickly follow the similar process for the top floor. We have starting with the plan. I take the entire plan. This is a quick refresh for people who've joined later. So I'm going to group the entire plan, take the entire plan, use the extension called as make face. First, we start with the edge tools. We'll see if there are any stray edges. Oh, this has found some 3 edges which are stray. I fix them all with the parameter of the wall length. Then I select the edges again. I go to the extension with make face. I can see most of the surfaces are created. Now I can go again back here to clean up, make sure there are no stray edges around the plan. So once I know the plan is ready, I'm going to keep 3 copies of it again. So as I can say, the middle copy stays as it is with the openings of doors and windows. For the bottom copy, I'm going to remove all the places where there are doors and windows. So we have like an entire plan at once. So this is basically a sill level where we have all the elements of above the door. So once you've done this, I select all of them, use cleanup again, make sure the plan is clean. And for the bottom layer, which comes below, we don't have windows. So I'll close places everywhere. I believe we can add a window. So let's say there's a window here, there's a window. Oh, we can have a long window here. And these are all openings. So once we've done that, now you select all of them. You use the extension. Start with the 4 feet again, which is from bottom till the sill level. Reverse all the faces. I do the same for this layer. This is for the window layer. So this is again for the 4 feet height. I will reverse all the faces again. And this is for the top layer height, which is this where most of the beams and the things about the door come, the wall about the doors. Now, once we've put all the things in place, we can assemble all the parts back in our model. So we have the base model, and we have the one where we have all the openings for the window. And then we have a place where all the lintels are held. You can do certain modification as per as your design. Let's say we have one element here which spans all across, something like this. Once we've done this, now we have to create the roof. Again, I'll just put some material quickly just for our convenience. The materials can be tuned later. Once we've done this, I have the top surface. Let's say I want to have a roof here. I can start with one segment of the roof from here to here. And we have a slope running from here, this side and this side. So I'll take the midpoint, run across here, give the sloping on both the edges. And now you can understand how difficult it can get to have something to slice in this, because manually it's difficult to pull them all. So here what you can use is have one more surface which runs parallel as a reference. Create a sloping surface on this line. And then I can put a section at this point. Now, once I give a section here, I can move the section to the required height or leave it here and then use this option, slice model at section. So this is one of the thing where the Zorro was used. So using Zorro, what happens is whatever was there below the section or above the section which is not seen is going to get deleted right away. So I use that and then you can see a hollow surface created. So I can create a line to create a surface back again. And then I will repeat the same on the other side. So we have one line running here with one surface. For reference, I create a section and then slice the model at section again. Once that is done, we create the surface on the stray places. And once we are in the group, above the group, we can create a surface just for the reference of our roof. on both the sides. I'm going to pull this for this also I can use vector pull. So it's pulled in the direction of Z. So let's say I'm going to pull this for 6-inch. And then we can extend the model on both the sides. And then turn it around. And at this moment, you can see by default, it always takes the slope of the direction. There's a tool where you can use the keyboard keys. So if I use the top arrow, by default, it gives me the Z axis. So I can flip it around that axis. Take the roofing material, add it to the roof. Similarly, we have one more floor which happens here. So I can create something where I can just create a vertical wall and use the 1001 bit tool to add the roof to a surface. So if you can go here, you can see the roof option. Once you go to the roof option, we create a hip roof. Let's say we give a slope of 25 degrees and overhang of 2 feet. Create hip roof, and you have something like this. Give some profile at the edge of the seam. So you can see we have the main basic framework of the house, which is ready. So maybe we can have some doors here, windows. So we have a option to create window profiles here. Again, go back to 1001 tools. You have doors and windows, create window frame, and then give your profile dimensions. Add the material of the window, whichever you feel is right. This is a quick model, so I'm not paying much attention to the dimensions right now. But this is to show you the whole process of using extensions in the process of modeling. Can you tell once again how you created the roof? So Pratham, how you would start is you select a surface that you want to have the roof on. It can be a straight rectangle. It can be a rectangle with the opening in the middle. Let's say something like this. Or you can also have an uneven shape which spans something like this. So now what the extension 1001 bit tool does is it gives you the easy access to create the roof. So all you have to do is select the surface, go to extension 1001 bit tool, roof, and then create hip roof. So this will give you the ready-made settings for all the roof. The moment you put them and create, you have your roof ready. It can be an irregular shape. It can be a shape which is with a hollow inside, or it can be just a regular roof like ours. The quick few tools that I would like to show you in the process. For example, I want to add some design elements here, and I want these design element to span across the part on the top here. So now normally what one would do is just move it for a distance, copy it and paste it, and then do the same again and again. There's one more alternative way of doing it as you move it across a distance. Tell how many times you want to multiply it to, let's say 5 times, 5x, and then you press enter. But then you don't really know how much distance to keep and uh, distance, how much to divide them by. So what we can do is we take this, we move it till the other end with the option, and then we press divide with the number we think is right. So let's say divide by 10. It's going to give us 10 elements in the same row. And let's say if you think it's too less, you still have an option to change. So we can put divide, divide 15. Let's say divide 15. Yeah, I'll show it again. So we have the option taken here. Let's say we do divide by 15. So it's going to take even divisions of 15 units. Let's say divide by 12 or 13. And then it works for 13 elements. Once we have things in groups, it's much easier to work with them eventually later. You can see the house shaping up a little. It's not really a pretty house, but with the time with the time it's taken to model us, it's pretty decent, I'd say. We can have few more elements like windows. You can add elements like we were supposed to have a window here. We have a window here. Now, once basic things are done, we go back, create the staircases. First, staircases, what you can do is keep a section plane here. So we have nothing coming in the view. Leave it open. And I'll try to create a staircase here. So we use the ready-made tool again. I'll keep the height of the slab to, let's say, 6 inch. And I want 7 rises. Am I audible? Hello. Okay.
Yes, you're audible.
So I'll just add the staircase quickly in the same file. Add the staircase module, create the staircase. Once I go inside, I create the railing. I take the staircase, use it again. Let's say I want it for 5, or yeah, 5 sounds right. I create one more line of staircase. Thus I can position it based on the previous staircase. And then I can create another on the There's one thing which I recommend highly for all of you guys, and I have personally found it really helpful, is if you guys can go to extensions, model info, and then keep the anti-aliased textures on as default. And then in your settings, if you can go to shortcut,
Hello? Hello.
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is not audible actually.
is it audible right now? Hello, is it audible? Okay, okay. So I have set this shortcut. By default, we don't have any shortcut for this, but it's very useful in the process. So you search for view component, hide rest of the model, and give a shortcut key to it. So once you have a shortcut key defined, what happens is whenever you're modeling something like this, which is an element into another, you can keep toggling back to see the reference model and go inside and get back to the real model. So I can see how the model is going. Let me explode them quickly, create into a complete status. Once we have a status, we can, there's not the right way of doing it, but I'll just put it to our base references. So you can get the overall dimension which is required for your status by the number of flights you put here. Once you've done this, we have the status in place, we have the windows in place, we have the doors and windows in place. There's this design element, it doesn't have to do. So I'm going to stop here at the moment so we can see how the entire model is shaped up. So now take the model here, somewhere far away. We don't have any clutter around. So far, is there anything you guys would want me to repeat? For example, the extensions of joint push pull or Zoro or edge tools or cleanup tools. I could do it quickly in the moment. How to make railing? For railing, what you could do is if you have a surface which spans like this, so there's a component called as make vertical louvers. So it depends on the design of your railing. For example, if you have something which is vertical, so go to 1001 bit tools and then you have vertical louvers here in doors and windows. The moment you go to vertical louvers, you can set the angle as 0, give your dimensions for the railing thickness, however is suitable, and then create something which creates even spaced. Now this depends if you're looking for a metallic railing or a glass railing. If I were to pick a metallic railing, it would be something like this. But if you have something which has a segment of frames. So you have an option to create panels. So you go to divide panels. Now number of rows will be 1, number of columns will be, let's say, 10. I'll just use the default dimensions right now and create the window frame. You can see how the railing has come in the process. And then you have all the elements which are in one surface, so you can add a glass right away to it. So now, all in all, if I were to show this process again without having to explain it, I believe the same thing can be modeled in the similar process in max 5 to 10 minutes. And if you were to add more elements like the furniture, sofa, and the other elements, you can add another 5-10 minutes to it. So the point here to say is the moment you try to use these extensions, regardless of how many walls you have, how many rooms you have, the work gets much more simpler and optimized as a process. Let me go back to my presentation for a while and then we'll come back here for some more thing. Uh, we've all we've all spoken about AI. You guys have seen a lot of renders which show up. I'm not going to get deeper into how you can put text and get images generated, or how Photoshop Beta gives you a tool to edit images right away with AI. But here we have something else, which is by a company called as Veras. I'm not promoting this brand, but just showing you the possibility of what is coming in AI. So a lot of it starts with a text and an image. So you give text and image as a prompt. So for example, you've given an image of this tissue paper and you put your prompt, and then it can create architectural renders. It can give you ideas for ideation in the process of designing. Similarly, if you want to do interiors, you can put an existing interior image, tell it how it can modify, and it works magically for all interior examples. As in this case, if you want to add a machine, use the tool. But if you have a sketch, a lot of sketches get converted into models, so you can see how it will look before getting it in the process of 3D. All this said and done, today we're going to try something even more interesting. That is how to create a 3D model with ChatGPT. So I'll quickly take you guys through the process. By the way, most of the extensions can be downloaded here in this tool called as Sketchucation. So here you guys can create a free account with your basic credential. Once you have all the details logged in, you can go to the plugin store. So here at the plugin stores, you'll find a lot of extensions which are paid in the warehouse. A lot of paid extensions can be found for free here. Let's go back to ChatGPT. Now you know how basically, if any, I believe most of you guys are aware of how the process works. Is you create an account in this website called as OpenAI, get into this free version of ChatGPT, and then you have a prompt which can be put to get the answer. So we will ask for a prompt in terms of a script. So to explain you why we need the script is basically coming to Rhino. I'm sure some of you guys who've already used Rhino as one of the guy had told me that he only knows Rhino, not SketchUp. So with Rhino, what you can do is you have an extension in Rhino called as Grasshopper. Now, Rhino is a basic 3D modeling place where you have advanced tools of NURBS modeling and geometry. The difference between SketchUp and Rhino largely is that the model here is simulated more with a computational form, such that the lines are clean and a curve. If you were to make a curve in Rhino, it's a it's a computed curve where the data of the curve is stored with reference of these points, which gives you a smooth mathematical curve which spans, and you can change a lot of parameters with this. So the benefit of this is for all the modelings where curves are involved for product designers, automobile designers, and all the other things. Rhino gives you much more flexibility than SketchUp. I'll not get deeper in how the software works or how the modeling works because that's in another workshop altogether. But I just want you to know how the whole software looks per se. So we have the perspective view, then we have individual views here, which depends again what you model at that given moment. So you have top, front, right, you can model them at once. Go back to my perspective view. And now coming to Grasshopper, Grasshopper is an extension that works in Rhinoceros. So we have to type Grasshopper here in Rhino. Can I share a sketch? Wanted to know how it would look as a render. We could do that, but we're not trying to cover that in the process of this workshop. But eventually, I'll have a separate workshop for that where we use the Veras tool or other AI modeling tools. Uh, I'll be so we have Grasshopper, which has popped up in another screen. I'll merge both the screens so you guys can see simultaneously what is happening. I'll be going a little slow here because I believe a lot of you have not used Grasshopper. So for the people who've used Grasshopper, bear with me till we go through this process. So what happens is whatever happens here in 3D model, normally when you model it yourself, you realize you model it with your intuitive reasoning. So it's not really what should be done, but it's what you feel is right. But whereas in Grasshopper, it's more like you script the 3D model. For example, if I were to create a point here, or let's say if I want to create a line somewhere in this place. So all I do is go here, select the line, take a point, press the other point, and done. So I did not think much of how the line is, where the points are, just gives me the tool to create a line. But when we use Grasshopper, you have to define all that happens on your screen. For example, to create the same line, I'll have to define a point. Let's say construct a point. So the moment I construct a point, you can see a point is generated here. The point can have three parameters. Normally in Grasshopper, you have inputs on one parameters and outputs on the other parameter. So let me take, let's say, pi or 5, and this is 5. So have a point defined by x, y, z at 5, 5, and 5. It's pretty simple. You have the numbers coming in, given into the parameters, and then we have the output as a point. And then let's create another component in a similar way. And let me define a different point at this place, which is a little far away from the original point. And now I create a line between both of them, right? Now let's say I want to create a multiple lines. So I create a series, I create a move command, I create what movement they have to move in, and then I give a series of, let's say, 10 numbers with a distance of 2 and something like this. Now we can see some applications of Grasshopper where we have a hierarchy which runs such that your initial parameters are still in control. Now, once you have the move tool here, let's say if I want to rotate them again, so I'll rotate them with a similar script. I'll keep them as degrees, give the angles, and you can see how the thing spans. So now at any given moment, I can change how the rotation will work, and then so it's creating a possibilities of rotation on one end or this manually rotating them. And then I create a pipe out of them. So now you realize you've done a script for, let's say, 5 minutes. But now you just think that, oh, the length of the line is just set to 5 and I should have started with 10. If you were to do that and sketch up at the moment, what you'd have to do is go back to the software, start from start from scratch, change all the dimensions again. Any book you recommend for learning Grasshopper, each and every component? It's a notion of components. So basically, to answer Jivesh, in Grasshopper, if you were to learn individual components, I believe it's too much to give you an explanation. For example, on the screen, I have at least 500 components with me. So I don't want you guys to get scared of seeing so many possibilities, but it's just that it's all possible if you know what direction you have to go in. If you know, if I want something to do with ML, so you use only components for ML. If you want something to do with physics, you learn the components required for physics. And more or less, if you get in the process, you'll understand most of the components are repeating. So you'll eventually come across the same components over and over again. So we have something coming up like this. Now, if I want to change the initial dimension, let's say to 20, the moment I put 20 in my input, you've seen the entire script has taken 20 as the base and it's run the entire script from start till the end. This is the magic of parametric designing. And the reason it's called parametric designing is these parameters which are put in the process. These parameters can be tuned, optimized. You can have multiple inputs which can be numbers, text, images, audio, and they serve you as a parameter to create your form. Before we go ahead to the ChatGPT and creating a 3D model with the ChatGPT, I'll quickly show you guys something we are most excited for is the launch of the Winter School 2023. So we've not officially put posters out here. So technically you guys are the first people to witness or see the posters for the upcoming workshop. I've had a lot of students asking me where they can learn Grasshopper or how useful Grasshopper could be. So we'll have this session which will explain you or give you a hands-on to this workshops. So we have the workshop starting from 19th of the December. So we teach 8 hours for basic rhinoceros, 8 hours for basic grasshopper, and then another 8 hours for grasshopper advanced tools, and then we have digital fabrication. So all of this together is a part of the winter school. Starting on 19th, 19th, and 20th, we have the winter school. We have the classes for Rhino 3D from beginner to intermediate for people who've never used Rhinoceros. So I'd say a lot of you who think, SketchUp is not the right tool for you, for people who think you can't explore your possibilities in SketchUp when it comes to forms which are created like architects of Zahadid, and or for people who really want to add some real content on your portfolio and uh, CV. What happens is normally most of the colleges teach basic softwares and they don't really give you edge to, you know, stand out in the set of students for your portfolio, for your getting into offices or getting into masters also. So this, or even if it is taught in the college, and I believe it's not taught as well as it should have, or in not one to one personal teaching, we believe we can give that same experience in better teaching in the given time. 19th and 20th, we have Rhino. 26th, 27th, we have Grasshopper. And I believe me, I'll tell you, there's a lot which is possible in Grasshopper. What we have done is just scratch the surface right now. Yeah, I'll come to the winter fees payment and fees later. And then second and third Jan we have Grasshopper Environmental Design. This is a specifically interesting course for people who have their thesis, which is upcoming. Also for professionals who want to elevate their designing skills, add some parametric designing such that they can add the sun path, the basic environmental factors to create a more sustainable and green design. This will not just add a lot of value to your portfolio, but also make you a ethical, sustainable architect using technology. Then this is the most interesting one, which is the first time we're starting as a complete workshop altogether, is the digital fabrication, which is for 3D printing and laser cutting. So this will be one-to-one hands-on teaching. One-to-one is what I mean is you guys will, at the end of the workshop, all of you guys who have participated will have the confidence to print the immediate next day, create a model, and believe me, 3D printers are not that expensive in the market. So you guys can start with basic 2 months of pocket money and get started with the whole process of modeling. And 3D printing gives you this special tool as a designer to print whatever is uh, print whatever is in your imagination and thoughts. For example, we just printed this in the morning. This was a quick vase printed in 2 hours as a form of grasshopper. We have limited seats of 10 people. So if you're interested, you guys have to apply before the seats go out. And this will be held in New Delhi. So for people who live here or who are far away, can also commute for a day or two. And we've set up a specific early bird discount for all the people who are attending today's workshop as a part of a thank you or as a kickstart to the winter school. And for this early bird, I will be dropping the coupon codes for all the people who are online or who are registered. So you guys will get flat 30% discount on all the base prices. And we've kept the prices pretty reasonable compared to the standards of uh, which are there in the market. I have three questions. Let me take them. Are you planning to conduct classes for village? Yeah. We'll be covering a lot of important extensions. Today I couldn't cover a lot of extensions and a lot of Grasshopper. This is just like to give you people who've not seen Grasshopper, just to get you acquainted with the software. So coming back, so I believe at the end of this, I'll be sharing all the links for extensions. I'll be sharing the links to register for the winter school. And I hope you guys make the most of the coupons available in register. So now coming back to Grasshopper, I'll quickly create a component in uh, ChatGPT. So let me ask it to create a 3D model, create a box with GH Python script, create a simple box with GH. Let's try something complicated. Let's create a torus not curve with GH Python script to use in rhinoceros. So basically, it is going to give us the script required. So for people who are not into coding, you guys don't have to learn coding or worry much about coding. But if you have the basic uh, understanding of values and integers, so I can copy this code. I go back to the Grasshopper form, and then we have a component called as GH Python. So I go here and just paste the script which we had copied and see if there are any errors in the script. Oh, the script is working right away. Once it's working, you guys can see where the curve is created. Output the curve as A output. So I'm just going to copy the A output as curves. And we'll run the script again. Oh, lovely. So you guys can see the the curve which is created. So now if you were to create this curve, it gets really complicated because it's a three-dimensional curve uh, which goes across something like this. So now I'll take the curve parameter as the output. Let's say I create a pipe out of this just so we can visualize it. Let's give the radius smaller. The default one is 1, so let's say 0.2. So you can see how the entire curve looks. If I were to show the same thing in renders, you can see how it looks. So basically how this works is with the GH Python, it takes the parameters in the mathematical form. So you have this basic mathematical operations which are running behind the back. Using the operations, the script gives you a curve. So the processing load is much lighter, plus you have better controls to the whole process. Now, if I were to change the parameters, you can see there's some predefined parameters here. But let's say we have P, Q, A, and R. I can simply rename this as P. Let's take 4. As we change the parameters, you can see the model which gets tuned for the different model. So here I'll have to make sure the type hint is in integer because a number can be defined in terms of integers and multiple values. It can be you have to define what kind of data you're giving to the computer. Similarly, you can add other variables. Or you can manually change them here as well. Let's say if I make it 5, gets updated in real time. And number of points can be tuned to give a better clarity of the curve. You can see how this knot creates like a complete knot which goes into itself. This is just a quick demo of what is possible, but with my experience, when you know how Grasshopper works and how fast the AI technology is increasing, this is just the beginning of what is possible. I'm sure with the tools like Veras that I showed earlier and with the tools like GH Python, there's much more that is ahead to come. You have possibilities where your ideas and words can be translated into 3D model, where your sketches can be given into renders, and more to come. Yeah, with the question, can you please name can you please the name of the AI tools? Neha Putanshatti. So AI tools, what you're using here right now is ChatGPT, and the one which I had shown earlier is called Veras, Veras, which gives you renders for your sketches. And there are certain other tools as well, like we have the DALI. Yeah, Veras, Veras. So Veras gives you an extension that can be added to SketchUp. With a free trial, you can take 5 renders, but with if you like the process, you can pay for the entire pack. So what it does is with the 3D model, it gives you renders right away. Just to give you a head start of how the basic Grasshopper script looks like, this is one of the script which is done. So, for example, the script starts from here and then goes all the way till here. But in the entire process, if I were to decide to change something in the beginning, which can be as simple as the radius or the overall size, the entire parameters will be pulled till the end. A lot of people who've used Grasshopper may have similar scripts or even bigger. And believe me, this is not rocket science. Once you understand the basic functioning of how the script works, and we believe in the winter school will dwell into it one by one. So at the end of the session in the winter school, you guys will create even better and finer scripts like these. Yeah, a lot of AI tools to improve a script. So at the moment, there are no tools that I know that can improve your script per se, but a lot of your Grasshopper can be converted into Python. And a lot of that Python can be written by ChatGPT. So it not just makes the whole process faster, but also efficient such that you can use it without having too many components to go through every time. And just to give you a final part of the workshop, I'll quickly go here to SketchUp. This is one of my problem I've seen a lot of architecture offices is you guys come up with a 3D model and then you have to create plans and elevations and sketches. And I believe lot of the final drawings have to be made in AutoCAD. But a lot of process drawings which happen in AutoCAD, there's a lot of up and down that happens between AutoCAD to SketchUp, SketchUp to AutoCAD. So I believe a much better alternative to that is using layouts. So I'll give you a quick show of how the process in layout works. Is I'll create a plan, a section. I'm going to just keep the section as active. I go to styles. So in styles, I'll set something which is default, something like this. Once we have this, I'm going to name this as the elevation, the plan view. So normally most of the people who've tried to use them for your final presentation, you guys take like a screenshot of this. So the moment you take a screenshot, what happens is you have the screenshot taken and you have the output as pixels. And if you know how vectors and pixels work, the pixels are not really useful for your final presentation. So I'm going to add a scene here at this place. And just for a convenience, I'm going to rename the scene as ground floor. And then remember, the moment you do that, you don't move the section which is there. I'm just going to make it not active. Let the section be there. And I'm going to add one more section, which is a top floor thing. Once I have this view, I create the animation again, add scene, create style, and then I'll repeat the process with the first floor. Now let me create one more section, active cut, and then I'll add one more section, let's say on this direction, along the staircase. Let's say we slice it around at this section. So let me see the view where we get the best view. Okay, here. So here I can just hide all the other sections and go back to our view. Maybe we can add some textures in this view. Basic. For timing, let's just keep this. Once we have set this view, I go back to animation, add a scene, and let's name this as section. So once we have all the three things done, you guys have to save the model. Without saving, the the process in layouts wouldn't work. And then if you want, you can make the cuts as inactive so you can continue working here. So now I'll quickly go back to layouts, send to layouts. The moment you use the option of send to layout, you guys can see you'll have a template. Now let me take a basic A4 template. Let's start over again. Let's use a better template. We open layout again. So at this moment, we don't really need SketchUp running in the background. Even if we have a saved file of SketchUp, that is good enough to make it run. So I'm going to create new. So in new, I can go to title blocks and select a template from here. So we have a nice title block with project location, project title. And what I can do is I'll go back to the model saved. I can drag and drop the model here right away and then place it somewhere. And then in the window, you have an option of SketchUp model. I'm going to take the SketchUp model seen as last saved view for the saved. Oh, we couldn't save the scenes before it crashed. It's not this model. Where is this model? Save as. Oh, it's in documents 24 November. Okay. So I dropped the wrong file. We'll go back to the older one. Pick the model that we just saved. File, save as. Make sure we save it in the in a place where it's not there before. Desktop, replace. Okay. We go back to layouts, take the model, and I drop it here. The moment you drop it here, you can see the last scene that we had saved immediately appears here. You guys have to remember that what is a raster, what is a pixel, and what is a vector. Whatever files you create from AutoCAD, you see normally when they are in vector, the lines are much cleaner and smooth. So even if you zoom them, they're the same. Normally PDF files are all saved in vectors. Whereas if you work in SketchUp or in Photoshop, it works in pixels. Normally, you can only set pixels to a certain size. SketchUp model, how to set a SketchUp model on layout. So all you do is just open the layout page, take the SketchUp model, which is already saved, and drop it here in SketchUp in layouts. The moment you do that, I'm going to use hybrid. So hybrid mixes vectors as your lines. and it takes textures which are as pixels. So you can see the plan here is much cleaner, much better, and you have a better control of this in terms of your presentation, in terms of your scale. So you don't have to manually scale in or scale out. So now the current scale is 1 is to 92. You remember we had taken A2, A4 as the size. So it's tuned into that. So if I set 1 is to 100, it's created 1 is to 100 scale based on the A4 size. So there's no manual guesswork or calculations required. Once you have done this basic plan, now you can set the dimensions directly from your SketchUp model. So now once your basic dimensions are set, let's say I'm just not adding much right now. So you can add dimensions like this and similarly have your first floor displayed as well. And similarly in the first floor also you can add dimensions. So it will take dimensions right from the SketchUp model. So you don't have to manually enter any dimensions. You guys see how difficult it gets in Photoshop if you were to add them, or in AutoCAD also if you were to do it later. So this dimensions can be based as angular or straight dimensions. Now, once you've done this, you see the size here is 3.05 meters, and then the client or your juror says, I want the opening to be much smaller because the contractor says so. And then you go back to your SketchUp model. What you do is you change the sizes as, let's say, for 2 feet, I make it smaller on both the sides. It can be one side or two sides. And then I'm going to save this model again. So the best part about the SketchUp and layout thing is the moment I come back here, because it is linked to your SketchUp model, I just have to left click and use update model references. So you can see magically the number is just changed, the model is changed, the plan is changed. The beauty of this is no matter how many times you change your 3D model, the plan is updated real time here in layouts. So there's no to and fro process that you have to normally use. And the lot of tools that you have here in Scrapbook, for example, if you want to use for your project title heads, I have this. If you have some component labeling, we have this. So you can directly put the scale and the components here. Also, one more thing is if you have named, save them as components in SketchUp, and you directly have a name for the component, you can use the option here, and it is going to directly label what your component says. So you don't have to manually type anything here. If your component says 5 or 50, it will just mention 50 here. Right now, we have not named any components, so it wouldn't take directly. Going back to pages, I'll add one more sheet. You remember we guys had taken a section, so let's add a section quick again. We have the top layer. I'm going to add this back. And then go back to the SketchUp model, use the section. So this is why we had named the scenes in SketchUp, so that we have the access here easily without having to get confused. Once you have this, you can take the layers of sections and elevations which are there. For example, if you view sections in the, if this section is given in the this layer, The moment you have this, you can add a section at the given point, and it is going to update automatically. So far, do you guys have any questions with this? Because I had to quickly rush up with the limited time. For the people who are still online, if you guys could turn on your cameras and just anybody's here. So I had to quickly rush up with the whole layouts and SketchUp model. Hi, Pratham.
Yes, sir. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Sir,
Pratham is,
can you tell me once again, like, means I understood the how to set SketchUp model on layout, but just I want to know that how you did the dimensioning part. It was little faster, so I could not understand that.
I understand, I understand. So I'll start my screen share again. So in
Yeah,
dimension part,
sure.
what you do is whatever is added, whatever is loaded on your screen, you can
Yes.
directly add dimensions from the edges. It will detect edges which are there on your model. You don't have to find. So for
So
example, if
like,
this is an edge,
yes.
it is going to take the edges right away. And again, you have dimension tools where you can change the dimensions from meters to, let's say, feet, or if you want to change the style of the dimension from points to hatches or arrows, all of that is possible. Or if you want to manually edit
Okay.
them also, because let's say you want it to be 3.5, but you don't want to change the model, even that is possible.
Okay, sir. And sir, I want to ask one thing, like, in starting when you imported that AutoCAD plan in the SketchUp, you just from join push pull command, you just made it lines means above. So what generally we do, like, we use bit commands and directly generate the walls. So what is the difference, and then we use bit 1001 bit command.
So with 1001 bit tool, come on, when you create a wall, you have to manually select the edges one by one, right?
Okay,
Whereas the joint push pull, if you have your 2D plans ready with surfaces, you can just pull it right away.
okay, okay,
That's the benefit. If you have surfaces, it's easier to pull them at once, regardless of how
okay,
many
sir.
surfaces you have.
Okay,
Thank, thank you so much. So, for
okay,
people
sir.
who
Thank you
still
so
have
much.
questions, is Blender a viable option and for parametric designing? Blender is a great tool because it is a free rendering tool with a lot of tools in terms of textures and models available in the store. But it is more to do with the smaller scale modeling because it's again NURBS modeling rather than surface and edge modeling. It becomes difficult to model render architectural scenes. It's more useful for product designers, automobile designers, and for animation studios. For people who want to get deeper into this, the whole explanation in terms of how layout to SketchUp work, because I wasn't able to cover the entire thing. There's a lot we can do in layouts. So technically, me being an architecture student, I've done my 8th, 9th, 10th semesters, all 3 semesters, entirely on SketchUp and layout. It saved me a lot of time and convenience. It saved me a lot of it was an efficient way of doing the entire thing, and I could present directly from layouts. And there are a lot of tools I can show you here later, which comes to doing models. For example, if you were to create a blowout, if you were to create one circle and create a blow up, you don't have to take separate sections and layout. There are tools where you can zoom in and add details to a smaller segments. So a lot of things like these and similar things I'll be explaining in detail in the upcoming workshop, which is on first, where we'll be focusing only on layouts and SketchUp extensions. And it'll be on a slow-paced 4-hour session. So I'll make sure everybody is on the same page and everybody in the workshop is through with the explanation. So this particular segment of workshop, I have the details here. Is is possible, and the registrations are open right away. I'll be adding this link in the upcoming mail. So I can paste it in the chat box for anybody who's wants to see it right now. Okay. So what you guys can do is if you register for this one, at the end of it, you'll have the entire layout and this thing. And also, please check the winter school with the coupons code provided. So here you have a lot of flexibility to learn tools like parametric designing with Grasshopper and many advanced tools like Honeybee, and a lot of these names are the animal names. So for people who are not aware, we have Honeybee, Ladybug, Grasshopper, Anemone, and this is the most exciting part at the end of it is the 3D printing and laser cutting. So if you guys are a part of Grasshopper, you'll enjoy the RATLab Studio digital fabrication, because whatever you create which is organic gives you a possibility to print, gives you a possibility to print them as well. And being a designer, I feel with the possibilities of learning from biomimicry, having the designing knowledge and tools of Grasshopper, and having the designing knowledge of printing it is like there's never been a time in the history where all of the three are possible at once. So the ideas can be inspired from evolution, can be modeled with the best computational softwares, and can be printed with the finest accuracy. And this entire process gives you so much of there's this joy in the entire process. You're just not designing basic boxes and cubes anymore. You're designing things which really matter or really give you some meaning to the model. So I'd like to close the session here. Hopefully you guys had something interesting to see in the workshop, the presentation. So you guys can, for Pratham, you guys, you can check the details later once I sign out for individual workshops. So technically, this was my first online webinar, so I may not have been that fluent in the entire process, but thank you for all the people who've been there through the process, bearing with me in the process. And hopefully you guys learned something new today. On a final note, if anybody has any questions, you guys can drop in your questions. Fine. I think I should stop the session here. Mm.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
sir.
much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Thank you. See you guys on the
Thank you,
upcoming
Shreyans.
workshops. Thank you.